Right, I'm delighted to be here with the president of Brave Combat Federation. We've got a massive event, Brave 100. So many fans are excited for this one. Let's kick it off with Muhammad Mokaev, Gerard. There's some needle in this one. How excited are you for this fight?
Oh, very excited. I think we always said that Mokaev is the greatest flyweight in the world currently. So I think there's only Pantoja and Mokaev as a question of who's the best flyweight in the world. The records, the history, the legacy of what they've achieved, everything speaks for itself. So we're excited to see him come back and fight for that world title that I feel like we actually missed out the last time he was in Brave and he went to UFC. We always speak about it. We're like, we missed out that opportunity. You should have been a champion before you went to the UFC. So now you're back. Let's fight for that world title, you know. But he's fighting against Gerard Burns. And Gerard Burns is one of those athletes that I always say that very few athletes, and because he's Irish, always you'll go back to the name Conor McGregor all the time, right? But I'm talking about the Conor McGregor at the early days, pre-UFC, entering UFC. He still had that aura. When he entered UFC, if anybody knew anything about Conor McGregor and they watched him in the beginning, from the Cage Warriors time, he always carried that aura where you get attracted to that individual as a personality, as a fighter, and as simply as a walkout, you just become his fan and you have no idea why. You know, and that's what Gerard Burns have. Every time he's there, he's not in the new age world, so he's not cringe. He's got that personality that is something different, you know. But at the same time, if you look at the superstardom of Conor McGregor, was beating a guy who was undefeated for 10 years in Jose Aldo. And that knockout changed everything. I don't know if it was 16 seconds or 9 seconds or what it was. But that is that moment on November 7th for Gerard Burns, a guy who's 37-0, who's undefeated, who's done that in UFC, who's done that at Brave, who's done that at the amateur level, who's been legend in every place that he's gone and competed in. That's that knockout that's going to shock the world for Gerard Burns. So I think this fight is bigger than them just winning the fight. That fight is going to be for Gerard Burns to put that position that he's going to be the first Irish fighter to beat a Dagestani fighter of that caliber. And for Muhammad Mokaev, it's much more bigger than him itself. It's for him, there's a fight that he's going to be representing the whole flyweights in the world, that flyweights can make a big noise and make a promotion sell out all the takers just by his name, and that's the power of the flyweight division. We just need to change the division's name from flyweight to something even more cooler. But as long as you call it strawweights and flyweights, there's a problem already, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a massive opportunity to Mokaev. If he can win the Brave title, it'd be huge for him. Is there an opportunity for Mokaev versus Jose Torres in the next fight? Because you'd have two ex-UFC names, and that would put Brave on a massive stage. Can we get that fight?
So basically, in the end of the day, it's about, I was just saying that the best thing I always look at is when the talent is at their peak, that's when we want to make them fight. So I don't really care about which organization they came from or where they're going to. None of that matters, you know. So there's only one thing that matters, and that's talent. Talent should be the only variable. Unfortunately, our industry does not care about talent being the only variable. You have to be good looking. You have to be trash talking. You have to maybe even speak English. If you don't speak English, you're not going to be able to progress in your career so much because the audience want this kind of things, you know. So that is the unfortunate truth about our sport, and that's what our organization had to make its name called Brave. It's a weird name, but we do call it Brave because there needs to be a brave group of people that's going to be taking the weight on their shoulder and not focus only on how your balance sheet is at the end of the year or how your investors are going to look at it. When you, in the last 1 week, think about it, you've heard about the industry or the business of MMA in the last week in any news. What was the news about? And it would be always about how much money we made, how much tickets we sold, or how much something that we did. So who are you talking to? You're talking to your shareholders, right? You're talking to your investors to make sure that your PR is going up and your statistics look good. Your infographic can be put out there on LinkedIn. That's the whole point. So nobody's really talking about the problems in MMA industry, really. And that's never been the news in the last 1 year. So I really don't care where this fight has come from. If they are having the talent and they're at the peak of their career, they need to compete against each other. So for me, sometimes I even say that some of the fighters that's the biggest names in MMA today, in UFC, in other organizations as well, I think some of their peaks were at Brave. And just because you go to an organization does not mean that that's their peak. It doesn't make sense. Today you see Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't know if you follow football.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Cristiano Ronaldo is the highest paid athlete in the world. He's never got paid as much as he's getting paid today in his entire career, right? But would you say that he's at his peak now because he's getting paid the highest?
He's probably not at his peak now.
And that's what any Cristiano Ronaldo fan would say, right? But that's the question. In our sport, why haven't we asked that question? Are they really at their peak, or we are celebrating them being at their peak just because they're in the UFC, because they're getting paid slightly more than other organizations? So this is some detailed nuances that I always worry about, and that's where selling fights becomes back to the same story about how cool the fights are. But realistically, these are guys at their prime, And I think Shorty Torres and Mokaev, if you look at their actual statistics of what they've done in the amateur level, these guys have history that is so similar. That's what makes this fight so interesting. And to be honest, now let me get to the right point that that was what I always wanted to make happen. Shorty versus Mokaev was something that we all dreamt of. And everybody in our organization in Brave would say that we all had eyes on that fight to happen. You know, it was definitely the plan. But unfortunately, it was the history of the bantamweight division where Shorty decided to go to the bantamweight division, test his skills there. And it is what it is. And he's lost that title shot, the trilogy that he had with Nkosi Dembele. And Nkosi got beat by Huende, and Huende got beat by Borislav Nikolic, who made history for Serbia, becoming their world champion and now competing in Bahrain for the world title at the main event. So Shorty is there. He has some work to be done. His manager Lex is here as well, and we are having the conversation of what's next for Shorty, and to make sure that he comes back stronger. And he has to go back to the flyweight division and get used to that division before he competes with the likes of Mokaev, I think. So he's got a couple of fights before that happens, but you're absolutely right. It was a dream fight that we all looked at and said that IMMAF, amateur level, they've done the same thing. Professional level, they did the same thing. They've come to Brave, or everything matches together, you know. So that fight was supposed to happen. Sometimes things go the wrong direction, right? That's why it's MMA, you know. Otherwise, it would be WWE, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, you are doing amazing things right now with Brave, but you've also had a fantastic career of your own. I want to talk a little bit about that. Was there a time in Thailand where you were living off Nutella and protein shakes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that was my time in Thailand. I was just talking to the Thai ambassador who was here as well. So I was telling him the story that I was 6 months in Thailand because the problem was we didn't have fights in the region. So I was an MMA fan, but then you can't always be greedy that I want an MMA fight. So get some fights, whatever it is, right? So I went to Thailand because that was the easiest way to get fights, but it has to be Muay Thai fights. So I went there and I had no idea what to expect, right? So I went, I trained, I got to live in the gym, but I forgot about the expenses, you know. I just thought about traveling there. So I got the ticket done, I got the gym fees done, but then I couldn't really think about how am I going to live 6 months there. So finally I figured out that everybody does this fight every week and get some money from the fight and then continue week after week. So it's just your life for a week. If you don't fight, then your week is a bad one, you know. So I found a creative solution, Nutella and protein shake. So you do get your energies, of course, but then you get your protein as well, you know. So that's what I was living on. It wasn't very healthy, I guess, because I didn't feel really good after that, you know. But that helped me really mentally get to a point where I realized what it is to live a fighter's life. So I am grateful for that time I was there, but I wouldn't recommend people to live on Nutella and protein shake.
I might try it one day ahead of a fight, but obviously you had a crazy time in Thailand. Can you tell me how you were prepared for your first fight? Because I believe in the locker room right before you walked out, they did some pretty crazy things to you.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was getting into. So my goal was MMA, to be honest, right? So Muay Thai was the opportunity that I had. So I was like, whatever it is, let me go and fight. So I've been asking the guys for the fight from my gym. I need to fight. I don't know what should I do for getting a fight. I'm training 24/7. I'm doing everything that they want me to do. Or maybe I'm not good enough for them to give me a fight. So I'm going crazy in the mind, right? So, and I have nobody to talk to. That was my first travel outside of Bahrain, by the way. And I've never traveled outside of Bahrain. I was there talking to people who didn't understand my language and everything else. So it was so difficult. But then one day they were like, you know what? Next in 2 days you're fighting. And I was like, whoa, amazing. I started going running, right? And I'm like, let's go run and let's start making this happen. And then at somewhere around 6 p.m., the sun was down. This is all I remember because it was almost like a blur, right? They came and they started honking. And I get out and I see this pickup, like something behind is open, and I like jump into the back. So I jumped into the back and the car just took off. And I didn't know who was driving. They just took off. And we were driving for an hour through jungle and everything else. And I was like, should I send message to my mom or something? You know, like should I let them know what's going on, really? But again, it was not like I had mobile phones or things like that. I just had an iPad because I was traveling. I was like, at least I get to talk to people and use internet and send my family messages. We didn't come from a big, rich family to have all that at that time. So they took me there, I reached the venue, and then they just dragged me. The coaches I had didn't speak English at all. So they just dragged me, and I'm hearing noises and the people screaming and the drunk people betting and all that stuff. So they took me to the room. They put this oil on me, the Thai oil, by the way. That I was telling him that now we should start doing trading for the Thai oil. But they was putting this Thai oil on me, and they put that headgear, they put the thing, and they put the flour on me. And I was like, it was almost like I felt like a chicken was being prepared to slaughter, right? And that was happening. And I'm just walking in, and they're just doing all these things for me. I'm just like this dummy that they fixing, right, for slaughter. And once that was done, they took me outside and they made me sit on the seat, and I had this blue thing, like the thing that you wear for the boxing. So I was sitting on this chair, and I had another guy next to me. I looked at him and I was like, oh, you've gone through the same thing I've gone through. So I'm just trying to relate to him, and I'm smiling at him, and he's looking at me with this mean face. And I was like, oh shit, I don't think he wants to talk to me, you know? So I was just sitting there, and they're like, okay, you're next, go in. And then I just go in, and I know that that's my opponent, you know? So we were just sitting next to each other. And after I won that fight, I don't even remember really how that happened, but I know that it didn't go 2 rounds. But then once I won that fight, it was just people coming in, putting money in my mouth, and they're like, oh, I bet on you, take half it. But it was a crazy experience, you know, to go through that. But all of that, to be honest, I'm grateful for that mentality that I took from fighting, and I just took that all over my life, you know. So today when I talk about it, I said that the word fighter's mind and the fighter's heart, it is a serious one, you know, because you could use that anywhere in life. You could use it in your family life, you could use it in your business, and everywhere. If you follow that, you will be successful.
Absolutely. You've obviously done so many amazing things, and it's fantastic you've gone through those crazy stories in Thailand, and now you're promoting here in Bahrain. Before I let you go, ahead of this historic event, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, I think this event is fantastic for any MMA fans to watch, because whether you like Brave, whether you like the fighters, it doesn't matter. Forget about it. You're going to see some of the top athletes compete against each other and put on a great show. But if you never watched MMA, then this is the best education for understanding what MMA is. We're 2 well-rounded fighters fighting for something bigger, something historic, that they would be building a record for their countries or for their division. That's Mokaev and Gerard. And finally, you have styles make fights. We've heard that for a very long time, and we've not really had that kind of fights very often in Brave. But this Hamza Koji, the main event against Borislav Nikolic, 2 of these guys that's been ambassadors for their countries of developing mixed martial art, are competing against each other, completely respectful with each other, but at the same time, that's one of those fights that we say that styles make fights, where you have a wrestler against a striker, shorter man against a taller man, someone who likes to ground and pound when he takes him down, and the other guy who likes to submit when anybody takes him down. So it's just the yin and yang. And so you're going to get all those kind of things in this fight. The 3 fights, I'm just talking about the 3 title fights. So it is going to be something of an education for guys who don't know MMA. And if you are an MMA fan, then you're going to be watching some really historic fights that's going to make some big impact, not just for themselves, for the MMA world after their fights.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.